Okay, here we are in the Nanjing International Airport. We got here at 7:30. The flight was on time and we landed just fine. Collected our bags just fine, went through customs, went through and got our visas for the day just fine. We exit the airport and that's when our night became a nightmare in Nanjing. We did have a hotel booked in Nanjing from booking.com, and upon exiting the airport we were encountered by one taxi guy who said he would take us to our location. And first of all, he said he would take us there and then asked us what hotel we're going to. And we told him which one, and he said, "Oh no, that's not a good one. Those are only for Chinese nationals." Now, I did not read anything like that on booking.com listing, so obviously we thought, well, okay, he's just trying to scam us into getting into his taxi, and he insisted that we get another hotel that he knew of. And anyway, so we disagreed. We got some money out, and then we stepped outside the airport, just right outside the doors, and there's several taxi guys. One of them confidently came up to us, saw the directions that I had pulled up for the hotel on my phone, and then of course said, "Okay, yeah, come on, I'll take you there." Took us into this parking lot, and we got into his car. And we even confirmed if he had a meter, and he said, yes, I have a meter. So we get into his car, and of course, mind you, this is not a taxi car. This just looks like a regular car, and he's just taking us. And we thought, okay, well, that's fine. This is China, so we thought that was normal. And then so he takes us, he starts driving, and I'm looking up the directions on my phone, and we seem to be heading the right direction. And then, of course, as soon as we start moving, I start realizing that he never turned the meter on, and that we don't see a meter anywhere. So we asked him to turn on the meter, and he just ignored us. He ignored us and kept driving. And then I asked him again, turn on the meter. And I raised my voice, I said, "Turn on the meter now or we're getting out of the car." Then he takes this little thing out of his glove compartment or middle compartment and plugs it in and says that's the meter. But he's unwilling to show the meter to us. We're not able to read what his meter actually says. So we haven't even gone too far at this point. He's rolling at the speed of like maybe 15 miles an hour. And meanwhile, he's so distracted with his phone, he's almost like running into cars, people are honking at him. And of course, he says, "Oh, which hotel are you going to?" "Nanjing Hotel." He's already asked me like 15 times which hotel we're going to. And we've shown him the direction, we showed him the address, and he didn't even pull it up on his phone. And kept trying to tell us that that's not a good hotel, we shouldn't go there, and just kept driving us. And at that point, of course, we're worried and concerned and angry. And he kept asking, "Which hotel? Where's the directions? Call the hotel." He even dialed the phone number of some lady that he wanted me to talk to. And this woman didn't speak a lick of English. She just was some random lady that was on the phone. And he handed me his phone. But at this point, we realized that this wasn't a good idea. We asked him to stop the car several times. And he just would not. He would ignore us and keep driving. And of course, at that point, I said he wanted to see his phone. And I had his phone. So I said, "Stop the car and then I'll hand you your phone." He wasn't willing to do that. He just kept asking for his phone. And then I said, "Okay, well, take us to the hotel then, and I'll give you the phone when we get to the hotel." because he kept insisting that he'll take us to the hotel. But he was already going in the longer route of the hotel at this point, because I have the slower path on my Google Maps and then the faster route. He's already taking the slower path. And apparently his dinky little meter is running. And at this point, we don't know how much money is racking up on this meter because he hasn't shown us the actual screen of the meter. We're both sitting in the back of the car. Anyway, towards the end, I just had to really pull out the bitch in me and just say, you know what? You need to stop the car right now. And I even opened up the door of the car. And then finally he came to a stop. And I was going to take out my luggage. And he wouldn't open the trunk. Lucas is still sitting in the car with the rest of the luggage. And he's like, and then he calls me over. He's like, okay, get back in. You know, I'll take you to the hotel. And at this point we said, no, just take us back to the airport. And he's like agreeing to something but not communicating what he's agreeing to. And of course on top of that, he's only speaking in Chinese and we're only speaking in English. We couldn't understand a word this guy was saying. And Lucas using Google Translate, this guy is using some other app that doesn't. He's just going round and round in circles and telling us he'll take us to another hotel. And on the way to the airport, at this point he had turned the car around. I got back in the car. He turns the car back around. He's driving to the airport. And at the airport, on the way to the airport, we only had driven about 5 minutes away. And on the way to the airport, he stopped at the Ramada Inn, another hotel route, and said, oh, do you want to go to the east? Do you want to go to the east? Do you want to go? And we're like, no, just take us back to the airport. Finally, he takes us back to the airport. He doesn't even take us in front of the airport. He takes us back to that parking lot across from the airport where he took us when he first took us in his car. And at that point, gets out of the car, and I tell him to, pop the trunk open so I can get my luggage. He basically takes one of the suitcases out and just like tosses it on the ground. And he asks me for money. That was it for me. I said, money? We're not paying you any money. And he was very angry at me for saying that. And of course, he said the F word to me. And apparently at that time he knew English all of a sudden. He knew the F word. And I called him another bad word. And then we briefly shouted at each other and left. We come back to the airport, which was just a short walk from where he dropped us off at the parking lot. And then we get into... we ask another taxi driver who now, this taxi actually was a yellow cab looking taxi, had the taxi sign on it, and this man said, okay, go to this area, and that's where all the taxis are. So we go over there. There's I don't know if he's a traffic officer or some kind of official. He's in a uniform. He's directing the taxi guys to come and, he's directing the people to get into, telling them which taxi they should get into. So he directs us towards one taxi, and we get in, our luggage is loaded up, and we think, okay, finally, we're going somewhere. No, but the guy looks at the directions, we get right back out. He mumbles something in Chinese to the officer, and a couple of other taxi people. And they all say, oh, we'll take you for at first the price was, we'll take you for 400 Chinese dollars. And we're like, what? 400 Chinese dollars? Our hotel room is 175 Chinese dollars. How could a taxi 7 minutes from the airport cost that much? And then they say, Lucas was dealing with him, and he finally goes down to, Lucas offers 60 and he says 100. clearly he was overcharging us from the beginning. And this wasn't even the initial taxi driver that the cop or whoever this man was in the uniform told us to get, into his cab. This was another man that was just lingering around along with the other taxi guys. And finally we said no, that we're not going to do that. We go back inside, get a little bit warmer, come back out. At this point, I had tried to call the hotel, and the woman at the hotel answered the phone, spoke in Chinese, and as soon as I started talking in English, she just hung up on me. And now at this point, I had already tried doing that a couple times, and she hung up on me every time. Because I was just because one of the other drivers that we had dealt with had also said, oh, this hotel, it's only for Chinese nationals.